So, hi, I'm Eli Clark. I am a high school senior, and I've been working on doing an actively tired project, which, is a website that tries to have disabled people giving information about disabilities in the disabled community, since there is a lot of ignorance because non-disabled people like to speak over disabled people. So today I'm really excited to meet with you, Ace. And was wondering, before we start, if you could introduce yourself, so name, pronouns, some things about yourself.
Sure thing. My name is Ace. I go by Ace Kace online. Pronouns are they, them, and I'm excited for this.
Awesome. So I wanted to ask first, what has been your journey with the idea of like disability pride and being like claiming disabled as an identity?
So my diagnostic process was similar to, I believe, a handful of AFAB folks, but I did not get diagnosed until 16, which is still fairly early compared to many situations. But the reason why I did not get diagnosed so early was, one, because I was just unable to, but two, doctors had told me and told my parents that they believe I'm autistic, but they didn't want to diagnose me because they didn't want me to get put in a special ed throughout school. So I ended up the plan was to not get diagnosed, but my mental health has dropped enough to a point where I needed to get diagnosed. I needed to get accommodations in high school. But at first, even like after I got diagnosed, because I knew that I had Asperger's, or what is like autism, but I didn't really know what that meant. And even after I got diagnosed, I didn't really have an entire understanding about it. To me, it was just like, at the moment, it just meant that explained why I was socially awkward and stuff. But I didn't really get into disability pride and like kind of embracing my autism until I had graduated high school and went to college. I'm currently a junior, a third year, but in my first year before COVID, I started making TikToks and online content about being autistic, and that just kind of took off and motivated me to do more of that. Because prior to me joining TikTok, like I didn't really know there was a huge autism community online. Like I knew a couple of creators like Aspie World and Princess Aspian from YouTube like years ago. And they were kind of like the only autistic creators I really knew and followed with. But once I joined TikTok, there was a lot more autistic people, and I just felt that sense of community and it motivated me to like embrace my identity and talk about it more, both online and in person. So
Nice. So you feel like online is really a good place that you found to like engage with the autistic or disabled community.
yeah, definitely.
So this is kind of completely different, but still. So what are some of your special interests?
Um, growing up, my main one, I think my first one was dragons. That was like throughout elementary school. And then I had developed an interest, like end of elementary school, early middle school. I was really into Deadmau5, the musician. And then currently, I mean, my special interests, like they stick with me throughout my life, so they don't really go away. I'm still into that kind of stuff, but I just like add more to the list as I get older. At the moment, the band Blue October is my main one, and also I feel like there's a new one. Oh, I mean, yeah, I've also been into My Little Pony Friendship with Magic since elementary school. So, and the music industry or online marketing is also one, and that's why I'm in school I'm a marketing major, and I'm getting involved in like social media marketing, specifically in the music industry, and that's helpful because it is my special interest, so I enjoy it.
I mean, yeah, it's good to have a career that you're interested in. And On that note, you know how you said the music industry and stuff like that's part of your special interest. Would you be willing to talk a little bit about, because I know like you play as a solo artist, but also as part of a band. Like, what's that like? How do you feel? How might it differ from solo versus being in a band, do you think?
Um, Playing music is a lot of fun, and personally, I prefer the band experience. The only reason I really got into the solo stuff was because I was unable to find a band. I had come to college, I was looking for one, and just in the meantime, I was gonna do stuff on my own, and then COVID hit. So I could not find a band for a hot minute until just this semester. So that was just kind of like something to keep me occupied. But being in a band is a lot of fun. I was in bands also at high school. So it was a real shock when I went to college and then COVID hit, and I was like not in a band for such a long period of time, what it felt like. And like now I'm 3 years in and I'm just now starting to play. But it's a lot of fun, honestly, just going to playing shows, um, traveling, hanging out, making music. It's like what I want to do with my life, basically. Um, and it is interesting being an autistic musician too, because in many cases, like I can get overstimulated on stage, or prior to shows I get a lot of like I get really I get like anxious, but it's like the autistic anxious, like when you're switching from like big tasks or like switching shit scenarios. For me, that's a big like trigger for meltdowns and overstimulation and burnout. And like prior to shows, that's kind of a thing. So I have to have like a whole routine and like try to chill during the day and not like get myself too worn out by the time the show's on. So
Yeah. So, what instrument do you play in your band, or like, because I guess, like, I don't know if you'd be willing to share what you play, your role in the band, who your other bandmates are.
yeah, so the band is Unwanted Company, and I am a frontman slash guitarist. There's actually two frontmen in the band, and there's okay, so in the band it's me, Travis, my drummer, John, my bassist, Hudson, my lead guitarist, and then also my partner, Christian, and he's a frontman and a guitarist, and I'm a frontman and a guitarist. So we switch off roles throughout the shows, and that is a lot of fun.
Nice. And then do you guys all like work together to write songs?
Yeah, we have a few songs already, even though we've only really been together for a couple months. But we have played some shows, and we have a couple songs, but we're trying to like get some more ready like as soon as possible so we can release them on Spotify.
Yeah.
And get that started.
Which would be really cool.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So jumping back a little, I know you had mentioned that you have like a routine you do to try to like help you from like not being overwhelmed transferring from before the show to the show. Would you be willing to share like what that routine is?
Sure. Currently I don't have a set routine because I am in college and I've only had two shows so far in college. From in high school, my routine was I would generally wake I would chill during the day, and I would also try to eat specific foods that weren't too acidic or that wouldn't like mess with my throat when I'm singing. So I would have smoothies a lot. And I also need to have like a semi heavy meal before the show so like my blood sugar doesn't drop and like I'm not too worn out. And I tried to I always like would have a spoonful of honey prior to a show too, just for my throat. Um, and then I get really anxious like right before a show when I'm like getting dressed and stuff, and it's really hard for me to do my makeup because I just well when I'm anxious it's hard for me to do my makeup like right before a show, because normally when I'm stressed out doing makeup, I mess it up and I have to take it off and do it again. But the thing is, my skin is sensitive, so if I have to take off my makeup, it normally gets red and kind of swollen, so I have to wait a while before I can redo my makeup. And in high school, my mom would help me with my makeup because she's like a makeup artist, so that was really helpful because it relieved like some of that stress. But while I'm doing it on my own, normally I do my makeup like really early during the day, so I have time in case I mess it up and I need a break, and I'm not like too rushed. So I have makeup on during the day. And like the past two shows, one of the shows that I just played, like I had done my makeup early in the morning, and then I just hung out and did some TikToks and then prep for the show. So I don't really have a set routine yet in college, but I am looking to develop one.
Nice. So, and you mentioned before, but for TikToks, like how did you, like what really inspired you to start making TikToks, and how do you think you come up with TikTok ideas, since you are continuously making TikToks?
When I had first like downloaded TikTok and started using it in my freshman year here, it just really inspired me seeing so many other creators. I don't really remember the main names of the first people I had seen, but I know, of course, like Paige Lale was one of them. Like the general big actually autistic creators. But yeah, just seeing them really inspired me. And then at first, like my content wasn't like autism, it was just like random videos and things. And like I noticed how many views and how much engagement TikToks got right off the bat, because the algorithm in TikTok is much different than Instagram, which I was used to. So that was a huge motivator, and I was really interested in seeing like how I could learn like how to learn how the algorithm worked and stuff. And so I just started making more content, and it was a format of like video and just content that I had really liked, because I was in a content creation like for a long time, but just on Instagram, and it didn't really go anywhere. So TikTok kind of gave me that platform to explore creatively. And then when I ended up starting to make like autistic content, I got like autistic followers and people who are actually genuinely interested. And it got to a point where like people were genuinely like, my stuff was making them feel good and feel like seen or welcome. And I really liked that. And I continued with that because I want to have like, I always wanted to have that positive impact on people. I just didn't know through what. Same thing through music. My special interest is Blue October, which is a band, and they're focused on mental health and addiction. And they were just a huge inspiration my whole life. Just the way that they use music in their platform to uplift others and to spread a positive message. That was what I wanted to do with music and social media. I just did not really see it going the autism route, but I'm glad it did.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is really important being able to have like feel represented, especially because in mainstream media, there's not a lot of good representation. So like that kind of transitions into my next question. So what are the most common misconceptions or like possible harmful things you've come across in like your daily life related to autism and like related to mental health?
A lot of people don't really know what autism is. It is getting better as of late, but a lot of people, when they think of autism, they think of Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, or just one of those main like characters on TV that are some guy who's a genius and really awkward and rude, and that is the only kind of representation they've had of autistic people, other than like their cousin's 4-year-old nephew or something. like a lot of people, or at least a lot of neurotypical people, because there is not a lot of proper representation in media, people don't really know what autism is or know what to take when you tell them you're autistic, just because they have this very vague, brushed over idea of what it is. And it's not the people who are harmful, it's just the fact that there's so little representation of the broadness of the autism spectrum. That is the issue. I think people are innocent. It's just the situation we're in at the moment. But more creators and more people are like coming up and talking about being autistic and sharing their experiences, and that's really helpful. But another toxic thing is, or something that's just not the best, is when, now that we are talking about it more and more content creators are online talking about it, there's a lot of people who choose to remain ignorant, and instead of like listening to creators or opening kind of like their understanding to what autism is, they go straight to fake claiming and bullying creators for faking their autism. And a lot of people use self-diagnosed autistic people as a scapegoat, when in reality that's just kind of irrelevant, and people are just using it as an excuse to bully strangers online.
Sorry, I'm gonna pause real quick now, brother.
Good.
So I agree with what you're saying, that there is a lot of ignorance, which, you know, is like part of what I'm hopefully planning to do with the project, is because I do think that a lot of times it's not necessarily that people are trying to be harmful, they just don't know. But I think it is still harmful that there are some people who will still be trolls and still try to speak over autistic people and stuff, which I think is part of the good thing about your content and creating it, is that it gives a space for autistic people to feel seen and heard. And hopefully, you know, maybe neurotypical or non-autistic people can look at that and learn some and be like, oh, okay, it's not just this one nerdy like boy who's just rude, and only like the interests are always something that's very like useful, whatever you determine that to be, you know. Because like I think that's also another thing, is a lot of people are like, well, the good news is your special interest is like tech, so it helps us save the world. And it's like, well, sometimes my special interest is the Owl House, and like it's important
I love the Owl House.
right? It's great. Like great special interest. Like I love it, and that it makes me happy. And I think that's what's important. And I think a lot of people are trying to be like, well, at least the good thing about special interests, like special interests aren't for neurotypical people to benefit off of. Like they're, you know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So yeah.
So I also wanted to ask, so I know you have oh God, I'm sorry, dyslexic and pronunciations when seeing the word is hard for me sometimes. Redbubble. Yeah. I saw that you have a shop there. And so I wanted to ask you about that, what caused you to create it. And I guess now talking with you, I'm guessing some of it has to do with the fact of like your interest in marketing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I am also an artist. I just now got more into doing visual like drawing and art because I just got an iPad. And ideally at some point when I have the time, I want to make very like visual and like I want to like draw designs. I had made the Redbubble to kind of like test out some design ideas I had, and mostly they were just like pictures and text and stuff, so it isn't like anything too fancy. But I have the idea for making particularly autistic based content for alternative people, so like more gothic, emo, or punk centered designs. I just need to find the time for that. Yeah.
I mean, that all sounds cool. And what I've seen there is on your shop so far is really cool. Oh, I had this. So a while back you mentioned how like, you know, for you there was a lot of the delay on the diagnosis because of like you know, things with school, but that like, you know, being in high school at like 16, noticing like with mental health and stuff, like it was important to like implement that and get like accommodations. So like what accommodations did you find helped you, like whether it's with autism or maybe if it was with like anxiety or other mental health issues?
So with high school, I think the most beneficial thing I had was a hot pass. And I'm not sure if all schools do this, but it's this little card that you can get if you have a disability, either surrounding like anxiety or depression or autism or something, and where it allows you a multitude of things depending on what you need. For me, it allowed me to leave class between bells like 10 minutes early, so I would avoid the crowd because crowds are big triggers for stimulation. And it would also give me the ability to have like a safety classroom that I can go to if I'm in need. In my first school, that room was just like the school therapist, so I can just like leave class and go there if I needed it, and like I would show them the pass, like flash in, like they couldn't do anything about that. That's really helpful, a hot pass. Secondly is I'm trying to remember because like what I had in high school is different than what I have now in college. But in high school, I was allowed to have like headphones in if I needed to during class to listen to music or just kind of like block out noise. I think I had extended time. Oh, I did have extended time on tests, and I was also able to test in a separate testing room opposed to classrooms because classrooms were really difficult for me. I would go to like a room just with like two other disabled people and test there, and I would also get like extended testing. So I had 50% on all my tests and exams, so 50% more time than like a normal person would have. And I think I had extended time on homework if I needed it, but I think that was it. And now in college, I feel like high school accommodations were really helpful, especially the hot pass thing, but college accommodations are really helpful as well. For example, I get like, minus a hot pass, I get like extended time on tests and exams. I also get excused absences. So I just need to say it's an absence for a disability reason, and I get it. Also, housing accommodations. I can't live with a roommate, especially one that I don't know. So I get accommodation where I get my own dorm room. And at the moment, my dorm room that I have accommodation for is like an apartment style. So it's like a kitchen, living room, and like a bedroom, private bath, and that's really helpful. And then what else do I have right now? Yeah, I think that's it. And then like when I go to take tests, I take them in a disability center opposed to a testing center.
All right. So, I mean, that sounds good. And I'm glad you're able to get accommodations that, you know, can help you, you know, I guess do school, but also live life. Because I think it is important to be able to, like, you know, feel comfortable and being able to, like, fully participate instead of being like, oh, wow, sensory overload. So I guess, like, you know, takes over everything sometimes, which.
Yeah, it's definitely like school isn't everything. So I feel like college definitely embraces that mindset. Like they encourage people to live opposed to just focus on academics like high school can feel like a lot of the time.
Yeah. So trying to think. I mean, it's really great talking to you.
It's great talking to you too.
Trying to think of any other questions I have. Maybe what is the most important message you would give to, you know, maybe young autistic people or autistic people who may, you know, be diagnosed later in life or like figure it out later in life and like trying to figure that out and navigate that?
um just exist authentically. Like how other people perceive you or what other people think of you honestly has no impact on who you are or what you have to do with your life. Like growing up, I realized that the only times I got truly insecure about things, about like how I dressed or how I looked, how I acted, was because I was taught to be insecure about those things. I was like taught to be insecure when you were different than other people. And then I kind of let go of that, and it's really helped me mentally ever since then. Just the whole idea that it don't overcomplicate things. Like what other people think of you literally is entirely irrelevant to your existence. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for talking with me. I guess
Uh, when you get not, it doesn't have to be now. It can be like towards the end or something. But could I like get some more information on what this project is, particularly?
yeah. So uh if you want, I can pause the recording now or stop it.
Okay.
Here. Pause. Did it do that? No, it didn't.